Hello and welcome to episode 54 of Block Magazine. And today I'm going to go through issue 24 and talk about some of the news that we have. And first of all, apologies for messing around with the times. I've had to change the date and time of this a couple of times now. I'm currently not 100% well. I'm not ill, but well, I am ill, but I'm not ill. Don't know how to explain it really. What I've got is some form of breathing problem, so that when I'm talking a lot, I start coughing and I can't breathe, and I have to have an inhaler ready. And the doctor thinks it could be COPD or asthma, and I'm having tests on the 27th of January to try and find out what it is. I'm starting to think it might be an allergy, as I've been congested now for months, and you can probably hear it in my voice, like my nose is completely blocked. So I'm worried that I may have actually started being allergic to my cats, which would be traumatic. So I don't know what that would mean. Although it is quite likely that I might have COPD, because I'm an ex-smoker, and once you've smoked, you can, even if you only smoked a little bit, you can cause irreparable damage to your lungs. Anyway, enough about that. The woe is me. That's why I've been changing the dates a lot, because if I speak for any length of time, I just start coughing and can't breathe. But I decided today, I did a live with Sean, and we've launched our new show, which is called Mystery Knit Along. So please go and have a look at that if you haven't already. I managed to get through an hour without too many coughs and so on. So you can probably hear it a slight bit in my voice now. But anyway, so let's jump straight in. And the first thing I want to comment on is this cover. Now, I have to say, I say it every time, and I know you've heard me say it a million times, but every cover is my favourite cover until the next cover, and then that becomes my favourite cover. This one I absolutely love. And it was the photo, the mitts, the design was done, must be over a year ago. And Michelle, who knitted them, did the test knit for me and actually helped design them as well. She took the photos probably maybe last February or maybe last January, and there was snow around, so we kept hold of the pattern for the full almost a year, because it was too snowy to sort of release that pattern in July. When I did the cover, I liked the way that looked, and I decided to do the blocked logo so that it looked like it was fading with the snow, and I thought that was kind of quite cute. And it does look very effective, I think. Anyway, so and also one of the other things that we changed with the cover, which I don't know whether you'll have noticed, but we didn't have any other text on the cover this time. So normally we have like a banner at the top and at the bottom, but we took that off because it seemed to look better without it. Excuse me. Okay, so our team of people that were working on this issue are there on the left, and there's no point me going through all of that at the moment, but what I wanted to go through in some detail is the introduction that I wrote here, but I'm going to go back to that. So I'm going to go through the rest of the magazine, and then at the end, I'll go back to that, because there's a reason why I'll come back to it. So let's go through. So the first thing was the advert for the Festivus party Rip Your Whips, which I think that's already happened, hasn't it? I think over on the PIC channel. So I don't know whether that was it just a one-off? I can't remember. Oh no, so from December the 23rd to January the 10th. So join in and rip out your knitting. And here we had excuse me, I did myself and Amy of Two Sisters and Some Yarn, we both designed a Festivus pole, because that was the theme of this particular issue, which is the Festivus for the rest of us. And if you don't know what that is, it's from Seinfeld, I think. And it's was it the writer? His father actually did this, where they had Festivus instead of Christmas, and instead of a Christmas tree, they just have like a metal pole, and there's no decorations up or anything. So I designed a knitted version, and Amy designed a crochet version, and I have to say they looked a little bit phallic. I mean, how many people will actually knit these? I don't know, but the whole point of it was just a little bit of fun. And here we got volunteers to write about the 3 core tenets of the Festivus season, which is feats of strength, airing of grievances, and Festivus miracles. So it's all tongue-in-cheek, these aren't serious, but have a read through, because some of them are quite funny. And this was a piece I wrote. I called it 2 + 2 = 4, and that kind of had a bit of a link to the last issue, which was 1984, which is the how many fingers am I holding up, Winston? And 2 + 2 = 5, and so on. But the idea behind this was that I've been trying to figure out a way of understanding the yarn thicknesses, and because there's no real standard way of measuring yarn thicknesses. You have the is it the Yarn Council? They've come up with a version, but it doesn't really help, I don't think. So anyway, I talked to a few yarny people. I spoke to Marie, who used to work for Skeins in New Zealand, and she said there was no real good way of measuring it. And I told her my theory on what I do to try and work these out, and she said that although you could use my theory here, it's not a hard and fast rule, and it would only really be 100% accurate if you're dealing with the same type of fiber and the same yarn. So, for example, if your fingering is the same yarn as your DK, then it would work. So here, this is my theory, is that every type of yarn, you could give it a numbering system, which is very, very similar to the Australian, New Zealand numbering system that they use for their plies. So a cobweb would be number 1. So that's like the absolute finest lace that you can get. Then you've got standard lace weight, which would be 2, and that's 2 of the cobwebs together that creates a lace. Then you have a light fingering, which would be 3 of those cobwebs together. So that would be lace plus a cobweb, if that makes sense. So basically, as long as the number adds up to the number of what it is you want. So if you want to knit with a worsted weight, that my numbering system gives that a 10. And as long as all your other yarns that you put together to create that worsted weight adds up to 10, you will get something very close to what you want to be worsted. So, for example, if you had 2 fingering weight held together plus a lace weight, so that would be 4 plus 2, you would then get 10, which would equal a worsted weight. Now, I know a lot of people have already switched off, because I'm kind of switching off myself. The way I'm explaining this, it's a bit like, maths, but it isn't really. It's just very, very simple. And just try and figure out the ply definition of what the weight of the yarn is, and it'll give you a clue. So, for example, fingering weight is generally classed as a 4 ply. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean there are 4 actual plies of yarn in there, but under the Australian system, it kind of did, whereas now a 4 ply could have a single ply. This is why it's so complicated to try and work out. So I came up with this numbering system, and for me, it's worked. It doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone, but give it a go. I mean, I'm sure there are spinners out there that are saying, no, it'd be better to go with wraps per inch, and I'm sure that probably is the case. But I'm not a spinner, so I've never really done the wraps per inch method, so I'm not really sure. But anyway, I've stuck with this, and it has worked for me so far. So I hope it works for you as well. Then Amy from Two Sisters and Some Yarn did a piece about feats of strength, and also talked about Shauna from Shauna Stitches, because Shauna's been doing weightlifting and nothing to do with yarn, but Amy was able to write about it, linking it to her stash, and whether she, Shauna would be able to physically be able to lift her own stash in weight. And it's actually quite a funny article, so it's definitely worth reading. And then this is the mitts that are on the cover of this issue, and this is modelled by Michelle. So Michelle and I designed this together. So the way that works, because you might be thinking, well, how do you design that together? I came up with a basic mitt pattern with the snowflake design on there, and then I gave that to Michelle and just said, do what you want with that design. And then anything you change to make it easier for you or to make it better, I'll then amend the original pattern, which is what we did. So, for example, the length of the cuff and some extra bits of colour and things like that, I changed it to her preference for when she actually knitted it. So that's why it's kind of a joint venture. And yeah, it's funny because we did it so long ago that I've kind of forgotten that it even existed. And I've already put it in the fold because I have folders for each issue, and I had it already in the folder for this issue, and it just been sat there waiting. And then when I came to work on the issue and it was there, it's like, oh yes, I forgot about this. And it's a lovely little pattern, if I do say so myself. It's I think it's a DK. Is it a DK weight? Do you know, I can't even remember. I know she when she knitted it, she did it on very small needles, but I don't think it was fingering weight? I can't actually see. If you look at the magazine, you can see, but I can't read it on the screen there. But I think it was DK weight, but knitted with very, very small needles, I think. Excuse me, I'm getting all bunged up again. I can hear it in my voice. So here we've got a little Christmas ornament pattern, a very on trend one, because at the moment there's everybody's doing everybody's doing the wheat stitch in crochet, and I actually saw a sweater the other day that looked amazing, that you did wheat stitch sort of in stripes, and then there was a plain stripe of crochet and then wheat stitch, and it just looked really, really good. But anyway, this is an ornament for your Christmas tree. Then we carried on with our mansplaining theme that we've done a few times now, and this is Levi's version. Again, some of these are hilarious. I won't read any of those out now. We had another dissident, and the lovely Liz Clothier submitted a pattern for us called the Rest of Us hat. So obviously that links into Festivus for the rest of us. And this is interesting. Way back when, it was just before the 2024 election, I think it was, I designed this cowl of Donald Trump. And so it's called the 45/47, and figure that out if you don't already know. And Jennifer knitted this. Now, I need to apologize to Jennifer. Jennifer was supposed to be coming on the show to talk about this cowl, because she knitted it, and this is her husband modeling it as well. So I'm going to call him Mr. Jennifer. And he's got it there modeling it, and the original idea was that she wanted to turn my chart into a hat, but the problem was it's too long and it wouldn't have worked as a hat, so she turned it into a cowl. But I don't think a husband would wear a cowl. He actually wanted this design to be knitted. So what Jennifer did, she actually sent it to the White House, and it took a year, but she received, an acknowledgement of receiving it. Now, whether Donald Trump's actually seen the cowl, who knows? Possibly not, because I imagine they, all the gifts go into some room somewhere to be fumigated and checked for, bombs or whatever. I don't know whether he just sits there signing, a whole pile of letters to send out to people or what. But it is quite cool to think that my cowl that I designed and that Jennifer knitted is currently somewhere in the White House. And whether, and I'd love to see him wearing it. I like to think that he'll have it around Winston Churchill's bust in the Oval Office, around his neck. I think that'd be really cool. I do have another update on this, and because Jennifer, originally wanted to come on the show, and it's my fault because of messing around with the times and dates. I'm going to invite Jennifer onto another show in the future when I've got more information about the update that I'll be able to give people then, because something quite exciting connected to this cowl could be happening. Well, we'll see. But anyway, I was really proud of this chart. Took quite a long time to do it, and I do think it's better than the Kamala Harris ones. You remember when people were making those Kamala Harris sweaters that were absolutely diabolical? And I think this would have been cool as a sweater. It'd be very easy to transpose onto a sweater pattern. And all our adverts. And then Katie going, as usual. Katie has been brilliant these last few years. She's been working with us. She did a great review of lots of Christmas knitting books. So we tried to get as many as we could. Some of them are good. Some of them are a bit like weird. Some of them, there was one, I couldn't even remember whether I thought they were, sorry, not remember, but I couldn't decide whether the patterns were hideous or really cute. That kind of, there's a fine line sometimes between things that are like scary and that actually, cutesy. So, here we go. Yes, the knit along. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. The sleeve your sweater. So it's 50 ways to sleeve your pullover, and so this is a. Not a competition, but a knit along. There is a prize at the end of it. There's one prize. The idea is that through January and up to the 14th of February is to knit sleeves. That's all. So there is a sweater pattern out there. Now, I need to clarify because there's been a few people saying that you have to knit a particular pattern. That isn't true. What it is that the idea came from a pattern, which I put a link here to get the pattern. It's a free pattern. And the designer created it where the sleeves can unbutton and you could change the sleeves on it. So I thought it was a great starting point to do this knit along. So the idea is you can choose to knit that sweater if you want to, or you can take the idea and use any sweater pattern that you already have and do a similar thing with it. Or you don't even have to knit the sweater, just knit some sleeves, and the idea is that, you would have a base sweater that you would then change the sleeves for, and it would feel like you had a new sweater. And you could kind of freshen up your sweater anytime you wanted by using up your advents, for example. So it's a great little project to use up your advent minis, because you could just have stripes. And and your sleeves don't have to match. In fact, I think it'd be better if they don't match. Your sleeves could be color work, they could be cabled, they could even be different weights to what the sweater is. So, for example, there's no reason your worsted weight sweater has to have worsted weight sleeves, as long as the buttons will fit, because the idea is that the sweater has buttonholes on the short sleeves, so that if you were to wear it without these sleeves, you wouldn't really notice. It would just look like a short sleeve sweater. And then each of your sleeves will have the buttons on it. Now, you have to place those buttons in a careful way so that you've not got the buttons sort of stuck under your arm digging in you, but it is feasible. And then your buttons will match the sleeve rather than matching your sort of neutral base that you'll be putting it on. And then you just swap them around as and when you want. So the idea is that you could just knit one sleeve and then have another sleeve, and then, have a cable sleeve on your left arm and a Fair Isle sleeve on your right arm, so you don't get that sleeve island second sleeve syndrome, and just go a bit crazy with it. And I just think it's quite a fun little idea. And then every year when you have your minis from your advents, you can just create a new sleeve with them. So anyway, yeah, so please feel free to enter. And if you email me with your finished sleeve photograph, I'll enter you into the competition, and I'll be drawing that on the 14th of February. So I will do a live on or around the 14th, and I'll do the wheel spin thing again. So I'll put all the names of the people that enter, and the winner will get a £30 voucher for Mystery Mouse yarns. So please take a look at that, and remember, you don't have to knit the sweater. You can just do the sleeves, and it can be any. I haven't provided a pattern for the sleeves, by the way, but you can use the sleeve pattern for the one that's suggested here, or you can just make up your own. It's entirely up to you. Okay, here BS, who does all of the layouts, she did some stuff with some AI there, because there's been a load of criticism and hatred aimed towards people that are using AI in the crafting world. And I kind of quite like AI. It has its place, it has its uses, and I don't see a problem. The only time I dislike AI is which is kind of in this instance, actually, but I'm glad that BS actually used this here. Is when people use AI to try and show a knitted pattern, and then when you look closely, you can see that there's no way that is knitted, and that it's actually faked. But if you use it for a piece of artwork or a logo or whatever, I've got no problem with it at all. So that was just a bit of fun that BS did there. Here we have the babushka ornaments. So this was, I don't know why. Was this about a year ago? It might even have been longer, actually. I designed a whole load of babushka doll patterns, going from the biggest to the smallest, all different types of them. And I didn't really know what to do with them, because I was thinking, well, how do you arrange them to create anything like a sweater? Because the biggest ones would have knitted up to be about a foot high. So it's like they were probably a bit too big for it even to go on a sweater. So I didn't really know what to do. So somebody gave me the idea to turn them into ornaments or toys, because they make great pet toys. And so the idea is you're knitting two versions of the babushka, but you're knitting it in the round. And then while you've still got the stitches on your needle, you stuff it with some stuffing and then seal it, put a little loop on it, and then you've got something that you can hang on your tree or play, use it, put some catnip in it and use it with your cat or your dog or whatever, whichever. So what was something that was never going to get used? I mean, I have a load. If anyone wants any of the other ones, I've got loads of these designs. I can't remember how many, but there must be at least 20 of them. So, and just going back a page, the test knits there, they were done by Shauna of Shauna Stitches. And that was issue 24. So now I want to go back to the introduction and talk about the big news. So people on a few other podcasts have already shared what they think my big news is, but because I haven't shared it completely myself, they didn't necessarily get the whole thing accurate. But then, to be fair, I hadn't shared that information yet. So I'm just going to try and read. Actually, I need to do it on my iPad. Because it's too small on my screen there. So bear with me a second. Oh, why has that gone off? Sorry with this sniffing and coughing. Okay, so I'll start to read this out. So welcome to issue 24. As we end the 4th year of Block Magazine, I felt this would be the perfect time to announce my big news. Issue 24 will be the last issue of Block Magazine. I'll allow the cheers from the left to die down before continuing. I've played it back and forth in my mind whether I should take a year off or whether to call it a day. I'm not getting any younger, and my health hasn't been great this last year, as you can tell by the breathing. It's nothing for anyone to worry about, just a case of slowing down, creaking more, and just being very, very tired. I really wanted to give at least 5 years to my little blocked vanity project, as one of my favourite haters likes to call it. But ending on a high after 4 years, while readership is still strong, feels better than allowing Block to slowly peter out to insignificance. And we know how this is going to play out. There'll be much speculation and many lies told about what might have brought me to this decision. Those who know me will confirm that this has been something I've been thinking about for at least a year. And I've just brought it forward as the time is now right for me to take a rest from the knitting wars and the ever-looming deadlines. I've made some great friends along the journey and accumulated many enemies. But as Victor Hugo said, you have enemies? Why? It is the story of every man who has ever done a great deed or created a new idea. It is the cloud which thunders around everything that shines. If you have no enemies, how can anyone know if you have integrity? So, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do in this kind of game, as I put it. You know, there's always going to be people that don't like you, people that don't like what you do. So, you know, people are bound to have enemies when it comes to this kind of thing. So since I published this, I've realized that there was a third option. So the two options that I had was to take a year off, to finish it completely, or this third option, which came to me I realized something which I'm going to explain in a minute. So I am going to be finishing Blocked as we know it for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay I've paid the Yumpu platform for another full year. So that means all of the magazine issues are going to be available until December of this year, so December 2026. After that point, they're all going to go because I won't be paying for the platform any longer. So what I would suggest you do, all of the magazines now are downloadable and printable. So I would go and get them all and download them. But you've got a year, don't go and panic, but just remember to do it before December, because I don't know the exact date in December when it will go, but it'll probably be nearer the end of December, but I would definitely try and get it done before the beginning. And then you've got them then forever. Because once they're gone, they're gone. Once they're off the platform, I don't think I'm going to try and have them available anywhere else. I don't know. I'm not sure yet, because the thing is, what I'm thinking is that this is like a bit of a cut-off point, this last issue, which isn't really. See, I'm getting all confused with not confused, but I'm getting. I'm tripping myself up with the terminology here. What I've decided to do is there is going to be one more free issue of Block, which is going to be issue 25. Now, I'm not going to put a time on it because I'm just going to give myself the space to prepare it. And once that issue is released, that will be the last free issue of Blocked. From that point on, whether this works is another matter. I'm hopeful it will. But I've decided that I'm going to do one issue per year. Now, that's all. So there's no more Patreon. So nobody's going to be charged for something that they're not going to receive. And what I'll be doing is I will be charging for that issue each year. Now, the change that's going to be, as a result of that, the change that I'm going to apply to this is that it's going to be almost a different magazine in its tone and the way it's presented, etc. Is that it's only going to be patterns, nothing else. So there'll be no opinion pieces, there'll be no politics, there'll be no criticism of anybody, nothing, none of those things that we've done in the past. Because this, for me now, I feel like it's a point where I've done all of that. I've done 4 years of battling people to do the right thing, and now I think, I'm done with that. You know what I mean? I'm not interested anymore. The political landscape is different now. Things are changing, and it's not as Well, one, I don't find it as interesting as I did. But the other thing, I just feel like I'm not interested in fighting for that anymore. Do you know what I mean? I just think, nah, I'm done. Because you defend someone. What I found happens is that I go all in to defend people and to point out the nonsense of that group or that the person who's attacking them and what they're up to, their racism and so on. But it doesn't actually, nothing comes of that. Nothing actually gets resolved. And I think it definitely kind of certain people within our community loved all of the drama of that, and I just think it's time to move on. I'm tired of it. I really am. So what will be happening is after issue 25, there'll be one issue a year, and just by providence, is that the right word? The issue number is going to coincide with the year. So I'll be releasing issue 26 at the end of 2026. Issue 27 will be at the end of 2027. Issue 28 will be at the end of 2028, and so on. So that's how Blocked is going to continue. It will just be patterns. Now, here's where the headache for me begins and ends, hopefully. And I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do this yet. But what I want, the model I'm going to use is a little bit like how we did the calendars. So as the year gets nearer, or as the end of the year gets nearer, I should say, I'll be doing a pre-order for the version of the magazine. So it's not going to be a physical magazine because we can't afford to do that. We could charge a lot and create a physical version, but that goes against kind of what I've always tried to do, because I'm not here to try and make a profit. I'm not here to make money. That has not been my motivation through any of the Blocked issues. So what I want to do is we'll be doing a pre-order. So that'll probably be open maybe October, November, ready for that December issue. Now, from the pre-orders, I will know exactly how much money is going to be coming in to the magazine for that particular issue. Now, if nobody orders it, which is a possibility, because people like to get things for free, people don't want to pay for things. If there's no orders, then that's that. I'll do something different with the patterns that will have accumulated at that point. However, if people have submitted patterns, and this is where I'm hoping people will, this will be something that's quite new, and I don't think this has been done anywhere else, is that from the pre-orders, I want to work out a fair percentage system so that people that submit a pattern will get paid for that pattern. However, this is where it gets weird, is that because it's a percentage system, if you submit a pattern for issue 26, and then you also submit a pattern for issue 27, and it's the same type of pattern, let's say it's a pair of gloves or whatever, the amount that you get may vastly differ, because we don't know what the pre-orders are going to be. Now, on top of that, I'm going to take my percentage of that, and also I want to pay BS and anybody else who's involved. So, the copy editor and the tech editor and so on. How I'm going to work all that out, I don't know, but it's going to be completely transparent. So, for example, if somebody designs a sweater, their percentage that they get from the profits is probably going to be a higher one than someone who designs a hat. I kind of want it to be fair. Now, we might be talking $4, or we might be talking $100. I have no idea. That's not something I can predict. However, one of the things that I will try and keep, I want to try and maintain, I should say, is that the cost of the magazine will be as low as possible. So what I'm kind of looking at is I'm looking at sort of what Ravelry charges and what people charge for a pattern. Now, in the magazine, I'm hoping there'll be a good range of patterns at the end of a full year. And the what's great about doing it annually is that there is literally a year to breathe. Where one of the issues that I've had with Block so far is with it being 6 a year. So that's two on average, one every 2 months. Um, there's been no time to get things tested, to be fully happy with things, so everything's always a rush. And I never felt fully comfortable with that. Whereas this time I can say, right, we're going to be, taking pattern submissions. Please submit your pattern as soon as possible. Submit it now. We can get it tech edited. We can get everything sorted. We can get great photos made, make sure the photos are great. And then what I'll do is when we've had our pre-orders in, then I can actually, and I will make that publicly available as well. I'm going to let people see what people get, because I've got a feeling that if it works, it'll be more cost. People who submit patterns are going to get more money submitting a pattern to Block than they might get submitting it to the knitter, to a professional magazine. I'm not sure what you call it. Is it like a cooperative kind of model? I'm not really sure. So I'm going to be asking lots of people advice on how to do this percentage system, and what is a fair thing. How much should a proofreader get, for example, compared to a designer who spent 3 months designing sweaters and grading it into every size. How do you value that? That's something that we've got almost a year to iron all of that out. But I'm quite hopeful that it will be something that people will like. And what I'm hoping as well is that, I don't care who reads it now. You know what I mean? I don't care whether they vote Donald Trump or if they vote for somebody else, or if they, love Keir Starmer or whatever. I'm not interested in any of that anymore. All we're going to be doing is patterns. So, it's a hat pattern at the end of the day, and it's not going to have any political weight to it anymore. So I'm just having a look here now. I want to have a quick look at some of the comments that have been made. So let's have a look. Sorry, everybody, I'm sniffling. Catching up, yeah. That's cool, Carol. Yeah. Yeah, so people saying things like the change is good and the new magazine concept, they like the idea of that. Yeah, so I mean, the thing is about one of the things I do like about life is changing things, updating things. And I have felt for a while, not that I didn't think that the magazine was valued, because I did, but I did feel like it was starting to stagnate. And I think there was I think the thing is like one of the things that I regret with the magazine is we didn't have many sweaters. I think in the entire magazine, I think we only had two sweaters. And I know why. It's because people and I don't blame people, they didn't necessarily want to spend all that time designing a sweater and then giving it to the magazine for free. I get that. And one of the other things about myself, a flaw that I have, is that I'm just not very good at marketing. I've never been good at marketing. And I'm the kind of person that will design, I don't know, let's say I've designed the most amazing hat ever seen on the face of the planet. I would say, oh, well, it's all right, really. But I wouldn't say how amazing it was, because I'm just one of those people. I'm not very good at saying how good I am at stuff. So marketing has always been a bit of a weak spot. So one of the other aspects of the model that I'm hoping will work is that when designers submit something, it's in their interests for people to buy the magazine. So, the more people that they can get to buy the magazine, the more money they will get as their percentage. So I'm kind of hoping that all of these things people will really buy into it, literally buy into it. So I don't know how much it's going to be at this stage, but I can tell you it is not going to be extortionate. It is going to be affordable. Like I said, I'm not here to become rich. I'm not here for any of that. I'm one of those people here. I'm going to try and market myself now. Is that I pride myself on being a sharer. So if I learn something, I want to share that knowledge. I want to give that knowledge to other people. And that's what the magazine has always been for me, a way of sharing stuff, information or opinions or whatever that I have. Whether people want to read them or not is another matter, isn't it? And this is the same. I'm going to be creating lots of patterns myself. And the freedom of having the full year is going to give me more freedom to actually design stuff. So I've got a few sweater designs I've already made that I've never been able to publish, and that's because I've never had the time to have them tested, for example. Now I will, now I can do that. And so hopefully people will get involved with that as well. The fact that it's a chargeable magazine now will also hopefully get more testers, because people are going to want to have some of those things for free, And I know there will be people that share it that haven't paid for it. It's the nature of life. I don't, obviously I would rather they didn't do that. But at the end of the day, humans are humans. Yeah, and so I don't know, the BS is watching now. So BS, I'm really, really excited to carry on working with BS, because BS was the savior of the magazine, I would say. So I think was it only 2 or 3 that I did without BS? So the very first 1 or 2, I think it was, that I did without BS. Then BS came along with issue 3. And the whole thing was completely different after that. It was far easier for me. So what I want to do as well is we're going to look at how we format it. I want it to be really sort of professional as well. Oh, yeah, BS is there. She's listening. Yes, BS, without you, we wouldn't have got this far. So, take a bow. Everybody say hi to BS there. Oh, no, I've not given you enough over the years. Seriously, I haven't. Yeah, so I've got a few ideas, and I don't know exactly how those ideas are going to change in the time between now and December. But I'm quite excited, and we are going to be carrying on. So Blocked is over, and it's not over. It's kind of it's just going to be different. That's the best way of saying it, really, isn't it? And the magazine was always open to anybody, but at the same time, in retrospect, it wasn't, because the tone of it was obviously very I don't want to say, well, what they would class as right wing. It wasn't right wing at all, and there was never anything in there that was racist or discriminatory or anything like that. They never found anything in it after 24 issues and 4 years. So hopefully now people will actually, oh, well, it's just patterns. There's no opinions anymore, so they're not going to be offended by anything. Yes, Shauna, thank you. Evolving is good. That's basically what we're doing. We're evolving. Now, I am literally waffling now. I realise that. I'm just talking and just words are falling out. So there's a few other things to talk about, which is the channel. So I haven't given much thought to what I'm going to do with the Block Magazine YouTube channel. There are going to be, obviously, when the issue comes out, I'll be going through the patterns and so on. And I'm going to have to, I don't know how I'm going to do them yet, but I'm going to be doing semi-regular episodes, because I'll be wanting to show the patterns, perhaps, or parts, or not patterns, but some of the things that have been submitted that you can look forward to getting at the end of the year. I'll be trying to get people to design things. So what I might do is carry on doing maybe go back to doing more interviews, and maybe trying to get new designers to join. Because that's the other thing, is the biggest thing that I think we achieved with Block Magazine as it was, is that, we gave amateur designers and writers a chance to get published. They can use that now. The writers could actually say, well, I've had these published, and and you could try and write somewhere else. People that were a bit nervous about designing, they were given that platform. So hopefully that will carry on, and people won't be afraid to submit things, and you might make a lot of money. Who knows? And here's a top tip: the first issue of anything is usually the one that gets the most attention. So get designing for that first issue, because you'll probably make more money on that first issue than, you know, subsequent issues. Top tip. We don't know that yet, though. Yeah, BS. I'm not sure. You and I can have a chat about the old issues to figure out what we can do with that. Because one of the other things, you know, I've got to, because now that there's no Patreon or anything like that, until pre-orders come in, I don't have, excuse me, any money coming in to pay the platform, for example, or to pay for a website or anything like that. So I've got a year. Well, I've got till December, so let's say 11 months. I've got 11 months to work that out. Oh, Emily, yes, please. We please let us put it in. Who knows what you'll make from it? I don't know, but like I say, I will be absolutely transparent with it. So here's the thing: if you don't want people to know how much money you made on a pattern that you submitted, you know, maybe blocked isn't for you, because I will be saying this is how much money we brought in, this is how much was put towards this is how much was put towards that, and then this is how much was divided. Well, I won't put names, but I'll say, you know, for sweater pattern X% equals whatever, you know, so it'll be completely transparent, because I think that's the best way to do that. Yes, BS, we need to do a proper chat, don't we? We haven't had a chat for ages. So I think that's about everything for now. I think I'm sure there was something else I was going to mention. Somebody remind me if they can think of anything else. Yeah, so I don't know when the next issue will be, but I do think there are a few things that I'm a few chats that I want to have coming up. So I'm hoping to speak with Jennifer, who knitted the 45-47 cowl. So I'm hoping to have Jennifer on, and I've been meaning to invite Emily on for a while, actually, haven't I, Emily? We've talked about that a while. Who else? Probably Joe Bob. Actually, yeah, there's going to be I'm going to be doing another channel as well with Joe Bob. So we're going to be doing a monthly thing, potentially maybe every 2 months. I don't know yet, because Joe's very, very busy. And also, I think I mentioned at the beginning, there's the channel with Shauna that we've just launched today. So that's the Mystery Knit Along channel. So there's other things going on as well. And also, should I say this now? No, I won't say. There is something else, but I won't mention it now. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. Apologies again for it being such a, you know, mess tying it down. And apologies to Jennifer again for missing out on getting her on the show to talk about the cowl, but we will do that soon. So thank you everybody for watching.
You've been blocked.